Madam Clerk, do we have any matters ready? Oh, it is on, okay. And Madam Clerk, I didn't hear you. Are we ready to start court?
It doesn't look like your camera's on, Your Honor. Okay, there you go. So the first case that we have is Tiffany Rotter. She's filled out her arraignment form. She's pleading guilty. She wants to represent herself and she's dated and signed. She's filled out her statement on plea of guilty and she's filled out her waiver of counsel.
Okay. The court will call first Tiffany Rotter. Right. Good afternoon. Are you Tiffany Rotter?
Yes, that's me, sir.
Okay, so you understand that you are charged with the crime of hit and run of unattended property. That crime is a gross misdemeanor. It can carry a maximum penalty of 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. You do have a right if you cannot afford one, and one will be appointed to represent you if you wanted to be considered for a court-appointed attorney. You also have a right to a speedy and public trial. And if you wanted to take your case to trial, you have a right to hear and question witnesses called by the city and have witnesses testify in your defense. And if convicted at trial, you have a right to appeal your conviction. Do you understand all those rights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there is probable cause. It's my understanding it's your desire to enter a plea of guilty today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There could be potential Department of Licensing repercussions as well. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
And you still want to plead guilty today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I give you the opportunity to come back if you wanted to take time to talk to an attorney.
No, sir.
Okay. To the crime of hit and run unattended property, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And by entering a plea of guilty, you give up all the rights I just explained that you have in court, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I sentence you today, you do have a right to make a statement to the court. Is there anything you'd like to tell me?
Yeah, it was really late at night. I was driving. It's literally, I would say 15, 20 feet from my apartment building. It was my neighbor's fence. It was really late at night. I had to get up for work. My son had to get up for camp in the morning. I was hoping I could just contact them and pay for it out of pocket, which I have contacted them, by the way. But I didn't really want to get the cops and all that involved. So that's why I didn't call the cops, kind of. It was a late at night kind of thing. And like I said, I have contacted them. I will be paying for the fence. Like I said, it's my neighbor. We all know each other, but a citizen, I would say, had saw it happen and I guess never, they were the ones that called it in, not the owner of the property. So that's kind of where this all came into play.
Okay. Well, I'll take that into consideration as well as your record, which isn't that bad. And I find that you've made a knowing and intelligent plea today. Your plea is accepted. I'm satisfied with the statement of facts that you've outlined to the court. And as far as my sentence goes, I'm going to impose a fine of $400. I'm going to suspend the remaining amount. I'm going to suspend any and all jail time. And what I'm going to do in your case, given your lack of history and the fact that you've reached out to the property owner, I'm going to make this what is called a deferred finding. So in 12 months, if your fine's paid, if you have no new criminal violations of the law, the charge against you will be dismissed. But that is, again, conditioned on you paying the fine and not having any new criminal convictions coming up on your record. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court clerk will present paperwork to you on your way out of the courtroom today. If you need to set up a payment plan to pay the $400 fine, the court clerk will assist you with doing so. And good luck to you, and hopefully this doesn't happen again. And that concludes your case today.
Thank you.
The next arraignment we have, Your Honor, is Richard Newman. He's filled out all of his personal information on his arraignment form. He's pleading not guilty, and he also wants to represent himself. And this is an assault, no DV.
Okay. The court calls for Richard Newman. All right, and you are Richard Newman?
Yes, sir. Or Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Newman, you're charged with assault 4th degree. It is also a gross misdemeanor offense, and it carries a maximum penalty of 364 days in jail and potentially a $5,000 fine. Did you hear me explain to the young woman prior to you the rights that you have in court?
I did, Your Honor.
Do I need to explain those rights again?
No, Your Honor, I'm familiar.
Okay. And I understand you wish to represent yourself.
Yeah, no matter how foolishly that sounds. Yes, sir.
And you also understand I could consider whether you're eligible to have a court-appointed attorney represent you.
I filled out the paperwork just in case.
Okay. Well, I don't have that specific paperwork in front of me. So let me first ask you how you plead to the charge, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay, a plea of
Yes, affirmative defense.
okay, a plea of not guilty is entered. And tell me about your financial situation. Are you working right now?
I am not. I am currently on Medicaid for my insurance. And depending on how the pandemic goes and availability of work,
Okay.
I might, yeah.
All right. Well, based on what you've told me, you are eligible for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint one?
Okay, sure.
Hey, no one's forcing you. You're eligible and you have a right to an attorney. And if you can't afford one, I can appoint one.
Well, do I have to commit today?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
If you want to represent yourself and see how things go, communicating with the city attorney who's prosecuting your case, you're welcome to do so. And
Okay.
ask for a court-appointed attorney at a later time.
Why don't we go with that option? I
Okay,
think
and
it's
so you're
fairly, excuse me, sir. Are you
okay,
on?
well, I don't need to know any of the facts at this time.
Okay.
I have found probable cause for the charge. And I understand you're waiving your right to an attorney. Have you ever represented yourself in court before?
Yeah, I did. And on a DUI charge about 3 years ago.
Okay. And so you're familiar with court procedures?
I'm familiar with the paperwork, but yeah, basically I went in and plead and I was polite and I pled guilty or
Okay.
eventually.
Okay. And you understand that the prosecutor can't give you any legal advice. I can't give you any legal advice.
Yeah, I will here. I was kind of hoping that the viewing of the surveillance video inside the drugstore would resolve the situation.
Yeah, that's a conversation to have with the prosecutor if you're representing yourself.
Okay.
Are you familiar with rules of evidence in a court of law?
Not technically, but I'm familiar with, I guess no.
Okay. And after hearing these questions, you still want to represent yourself?
No. Here, bring on the public defender, please.
Okay.
Your Honor.
We'll go ahead and appoint our public defender. His name is Killian Duncason. You'll be provided with his contact information, and the duty's on you to contact the attorney and utilize his services for your defense. So when you call his office, you'll probably have to schedule a time with his receptionist to speak with him or meet him in person. So that does conclude your case today, and you will get your next court date from the court clerk, which will be near the end of September next month. So,
Sir.
That concludes your case. You're now free to leave the courtroom after you talk to the court clerk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the next case is Jesus Pacheco.
Okay.
He has filled out all of his paperwork. He pleads not guilty. He would like a court-appointed attorney. He signed the no contact order and the order to surrender. And he has a copy of the fingerprint booking to be done over at the jail when he's done here.
Okay. The court calls for Jesus Pacheco. Are you Jesus Pacheco?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You are charged with assault 4th degree, domestic violence that carries a maximum penalty as a gross misdemeanor in the range of 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. You do have a right to an attorney if you can't afford one. Did you hear me explain all the other rights that you have in this court?
Yes, I heard.
Okay. I have found probable cause to the charge of assault 4th degree domestic violence. How do you plead today? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. A plea of not guilty is entered. Tell me about your work situation. Are you working currently?
That, Your Honor, that is what I'm here more about. I work for the Department of Labor and Industries as a bilingual customer service tech too, and I work from home. Currently right now, I am very.
And I'm not done talking.
Sorry.
What's your monthly income?
My monthly income take home is like $2,200 after child support and everything is taken out.
What do you pay for child support a month?
About like $500 a month.
And how many people in your household do you support?
Well, I'm married currently, and it's me, my wife, and a child.
All right. I do find that you're eligible for a public defender, so I will appoint one to represent you. Some of the documents that you're receiving today, you're receiving an administrative booking order. So after you're done in court, you'll need to go to the sheriff's department to be fingerprinted. You'll need to take that order with you, and that is a court order, and I expect you to follow through with it. I've also issued a protection order in this case, and you're prevented from having any communication with the protected party in this case. And I understand that where you'll be residing is right next door. So I've limited the distance from 1,000 feet to 100 feet. Is that going to be sufficient?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll respect that, and that'll be sufficient.
Okay. As far,
Your Honor,
yes.
Officer Lieutenant Wilson is in the courtroom. If you want to talk to about the distance with him.
Okay, sure. Wilson, can you kind of give me a breakdown on the distance of the two houses here?
Yeah, Your Honor, the residence is definitely within 100 feet. I would probably say 25 feet from each other.
Okay,
So they are right next door to each other.
okay, then I'll limit the distance, the footage to 25 feet. So Mr. Pacheco, even though the distance is short, you still cannot communicate, keep under surveillance, have third-party contact with the protected party. Are you understanding this?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand that completely. And to be honest with you at this point, I don't plan on staying there. I'm working for other means of living for the time being. But if that's the most, if I become homeless, then yes, I will respect these orders and I'll be there. But that's all I got to say.
Okay. I think that concludes your arraignment today. I was halfway tempted to hold you in custody, given your case history and your background, but I'm deciding not to do so. But I'll just say you're on thin ice. So that order is valid until you hear from me and see an order that terminates it. Are we clear on that?
We're crystal clear, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, that concludes your arraignment today. We'll need you again to take that order for fingerprinting over to the Grace Harbor County Jail and complete the fingerprinting process with them. And you can sign for your next court date and get your attorney's information from the clerk on your way out.
I'll do this right away, Your Honor. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Logan Barkley, Your Honor. He's filled out his arraignment form. He's pleading not guilty and would like a court-appointed attorney.
Okay.
And he didn't really fill out the agency form. Mr.
Oh,
Barkley.
okay, I'll talk to him. Court calls for Logan Barkley. And you are Logan Barkley?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You are here for your arraignment. You are also charged with assault 4th degree domestic violence. Did you hear the maximum penalties I explained to the people who came before you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you also hear me explain the rights that you have as a defendant in court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Understanding those rights, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Plea of not guilty is entered. And you've asked for a court-appointed attorney. Mr. Barclay, are you working right now?
No, I was fired because of the no contact order.
Okay. Are you looking for work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you receive any additional support from anyone or any agencies?
I get EBT, food
Okay.
stamps.
Right. Well, then I do find that you're eligible for a court-appointed attorney, and our public defender will be appointed to represent you. You'll receive his contact information on your way out of court today. Mr. Barclay, I found probable cause when I released you from jail. And do you still have the paperwork that you were released with?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you understand there's a protection order in place?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So if you violate that order, I want to be very clear, it could result in new additional charges, and I'm very likely, if that happens, to hold you in custody. Do you understand that?
I do understand, Your Honor.
Okay. So read over that order carefully and see what you're prevented from doing. It also includes contact with the protected party by third parties other than you, but your attorney is can, on as part of the case, contact the protected party. Do you have any questions of the court today?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, then you're free to go and sign for your next court date and get your attorney's contact information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
The next defendant, Your Honor, is Jeffrey Mahalik. He filled out his arraignment form. He pleads not guilty, will hire an attorney. It's dated and signed.
All right, the court calls for Jeffrey Mihelich.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, can you state your name for the record?
Jeffrey Mihalik.
So it's pronounced Malik.
Mihalik, yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're before the court today on a few charges here. You're charged with malicious mischief in the 3rd degree. You're charged with assault 4th degree, and you're also charged with hit and run of an unattended vehicle. Those are all gross misdemeanor charges, and each can carry a penalty of 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. Did you hear me explain the rights that you have in this court as a defendant?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Understanding those rights, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. I will enter a plea of not guilty to all charges. And you plan to hire an attorney? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay. Then what we'll do, we'll note this on our court docket for next month at the end of September for an attorney status. So once you hire an attorney, they'll know what to do.
Okay.
In the meantime, as a condition of your release, you're not to have any new criminal convictions of law. You're not to drive unless you have a valid license and insurance.
Good.
Do you understand all those things?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, that concludes your case today. You're free to check out with the court clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy Miller is present, Your Honor.
All right, that looks like a mitigated infraction. Is Jeremy Miller present?
I am.
All right, Mr. Miller, this is not a criminal charge, so I don't have to go through all the rights that you have. You've noted this infraction up for a mitigated hearing. A mitigated hearing is where a defendant comes before the court and does not dispute the infraction, but wishes to explain what occurred in hopes that the court might offer some leniency. And is that how you intend to move forward today?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Mr. Miller, why don't you tell me something about the incident that happened?
Oh, I just rolled up on a stop sign. I didn't stop completely. And um, that's, that's what happened. So what I'm here for today is to ask if I could do a deferment on this ticket to, I have a clean driving record. It's been clean for about 10 years. I just want to keep it that way. So my insurance rates stay the same, and I don't intend to get any tickets any near future. So I commute back and forth to Longview every day from Montesano. And so anything I can do to keep my costs, driving costs down, I take pride in that. So that's why I'm here today, to ask if I can defer this.
Well, Mr. Miller, prior to court, I reviewed your driving history, and you are deferred eligible. Drivers eligible once every 7 years
Okay.
to enter into a deferral. And so I'm going to grant your request for a deferred finding. I'm going to make the term of the deferment 6 months.
Okay.
So for 6 months, you'll need to keep your driving record clean with no new moving violations, infractions. And you're going to also pay the fine amount that is on the ticket
Okay.
as well. So the clerk will present you with a deferred order before you leave court. You'll need to sign for that. If you need to set up a payment plan, you can do so with the court, or you can pay the fine in full, whatever you choose to do, but it needs to be paid within the 6-month period.
Okay. I'll just pay it today.
All right. Well, Mr. Miller, thank you for attending today, and good luck keeping that record clean.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Okay, do we presently have anyone else in court today?
We do not, Your Honor. And I checked and Miss Slayton hasn't signed on to Zoom yet.
Okay, so it's now 3:30. She was scheduled for 3:21. I can wait for some additional time. Any of our mitigated hearings, we've not heard from those people?
No,
Okay, I did look and saw that number 5 on the docket, Marco Pantoja. It looks
Yes.
like he was already found committed and a fine imposed. Am I missing something on that?
I think he showed up late for court, Your Honor, but brought in the proof of insurance.
So proof of insurance after the fact, is that correct?
The ticket was on November 9th, and the effective date is November 21st.
Okay. And did his fine go to collections? Because that's what it looks like. It was rather high. It was around 700 and some odd dollars.
The FTA fee would have been added, but that will be taken, that can be taken off.
All right, well, he's provided proof of insurance. I'll put the fine at 250.
Okay,
And as far as Mr. McManus on these chain parking tickets, there's been nothing filed, no calls into the court.
no, Your Honor.
All right. I will take a brief break here, and then I'll come back, say in 5 minutes. I have to check on a couple yahoos downstairs and,
Okay.
all right.